Welcome back to EDU-Tutor. Today we're going to be looking at the mixed economic system, and we will be looking at the definition, the advantages, disadvantages, who are the decision makers, and the characteristics, as well as where you can find a mixed economic system. Now, a mixed economic system is an economic system where both the private and the public sector are involved in the production of goods and services. Therefore, they come together and decide how they're going to distribute the resources, how they're going to use the resources, what they're going to produce, and then they go ahead and produce those goods and services. The economic resources are owned by the government as well as the private individuals. Economic decisions are made by the price system and the state. The private sector is used to maximize the profits, while the public sector is used to maximize social welfare. The public sector produces the goods that the private sector is unwilling to provide, which would include water, electricity. So, if you look, for instance, in Jamaica, you will notice that we have both the private and the public sector who play a major role in producing goods and services. Now, the public sector would offer goods and services at a lower cost, and they include healthcare, education, water, electricity, roads, right? While the private sector, they also might offer the same products, but they offer it at a more expensive price. The decision makers within a mixed economy, they include consumers. They make decisions based on what they need to satisfy their wants. The firms, they produce goods and services to satisfy the consumer's wants in order for them to make profits. The factor owner, these are the persons who own the factors of production. And finally, the government, they provide regulations and guides overall economic activity. The advantages of the mixed economic system include consumer protection through the regulation of businesses by the government. So the government will try to make rules and laws as well as legislations that will guide how consumers should be treated by these private industries. It also has economic benefits of competition because the different private individuals will be competing against each other, which will help to bring about innovative products, right? And those are not provided by the government. So while the government will offer to those who cannot afford it goods and services, we have the private industries who will go ahead and compete with each other to provide goods and services of the best quality to those who can afford it. The disadvantages, though, is that the public sector companies tend to be inefficient as they are supported by the taxpayers' money. So when you go to these places, you tend to have to wait in long lines and you take a long time to get through. And there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of paperwork within the public sector companies. While that might not be true for the private industries. Government regulatory policies can also reduce the enthusiasm of the private sector, for example, the setting of prices and goods and services, which can result in the closure of businesses. Also, state demand for the factors of production can also limit the amount available for the private sector. And then finally, there can be disparities that exist in earnings and productivity between the state and the private sector. Finally, where can we find the mixed economic system? We can find it in Jamaica as well as most Caribbean countries. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new today.